Hey folks, Dr. Emily here, founder of Tech Joy Software, and I am super excited to come to you today with a really, really important principle. And this principle is so important and so simple, I don't even need slides to share it with you because it is that simple for you to take in and apply. So, what we're talking about today is how to 2x, yes, 2x your tech career. And this principle actually comes from software engineering itself. So there is a really important volume in software engineering called the Mythical Man Month. This is actually the reprint. It was originally created in this 1970s. And to be honest, the lessons that we learn from the Mythical Man Month are just as relevant today as they were in the 70s. Not all of them, but many of them. And one of the ideas is plan to throw one away. Let me see if I can see it here. The other one is no silver bullet. Like there's no magical formula, there's no magical solution to building great software, which is in part where the agile software development method came from, because you can't actually plan everything. So you might as well just do the whole thing, the whole iteration over and over and over again really quickly. And so the Mythical Man Month, I'm trying to find the table of contents here for you so I can show you this article. But the Mythical Man Month is all about how adding more people to a project doesn't make it faster. There is no silver bullet. You're never going to find the perfect solution. You just got to go with what you have and you keep making it better until it's where you want it to be. And the other one is plan to throw one away. Plan to throw one away. And this is the one that I'm talking about today. And you might be wondering, how can planning to throw one away help me 2x my tech career, right? Help me 2x my tech career. And so the idea is that you really don't understand a software project until you've built it, right? So now for really well-established software projects, so let's say, a word processor, right? We've got Word, we've got Google Sheets, there was LexisNotes, right? There's all these different, solutions for word processing. And so we don't actually need to use the agile method for word processing because that problem is known. When you say, hey, build me a word processor, most people know what you mean. They know what's going to be in most of the menus. They know basically what the look and feel is going to be and what the functionality is going to be. And so in that sense, you don't necessarily need to plan to throw one away. But in all other software where you're building something new, the general rule of thumb is you're probably going to have to throw one away. And if you don't throw the whole thing away, you might throw lots of little experiments away to figure out where you're going, right? So building great software is kind of like navigating a trail in the dark where you can't see. You don't really know where you're going, right? No one else has ever built this before. It's innovation, right? Like you are the first people to create this thing and it exists in someone's mind and we have trouble communicating about it. We can draw things, right? We can put pencil and paper together, but at the end of the day, it's really hard to understand what someone's vision for a piece of software is until it's in the world. And so what ends up happening, especially in the agile process, which most SaaS companies use, the challenge becomes, okay, how do we build this? How do we move it forward? And what can happen is we iterate really fast. And this is called the lean startup method as well. If you've got an eye towards business as well and starting companies, is we build the smallest thing we can, the minimum viable product, the minimum viable experience, and we get it out there and we get feedback and we make it better. Because you can't plan everything. At the end of the day, the market is also part of this process. Like your audience, the potential users and clients that you're building this for, they have a voice too. And we need to hear that as quickly as possible. And so one of the things that we can do as software developers is to plan to throw one away, is to not get overly attached to our first draft of whatever that software is and move on. Now you might be asking yourself, okay, all well and good, Dr. Emily, but what the heck does this have to do with 2xing my tech career, right? Okay, so we have this idea of planning to throw one away. And I realized that in my life where I've had the greatest success and I've really exponentially grown, is I've been doing this, I've been applying this same principle of throwing one away, right? So whenever you come across a challenge, right? This could be in life, but I'm going to be specifically talking about coding. But whenever you come across a challenge, What we want to do is solve it immediately, once, right? We solve it. We stop it from occurring, right? So this helps us breathe, helps us tread water, get our head above water. But some people might just leave it there, right? And in coding, what this looks like is you come across a problem. Oh gosh, I don't know why this bug is here. And then you do some things. Oh, now it works. And maybe you don't really know exactly what you did to make it work, and you move on. Okay, this is where the timeout. This is where I'm calling timeout, and why you need to actually 2x what you're doing, right? If you want to 2x your career. Because if you just solve the problem and move on, you've missed an opportunity to exponentially grow your career. Because people that solve tech problems, they have incredible value, right? Hundreds of thousands of dollars a year salaries. And with AI, it's taking off, right? It's even more so. But you have to really know what you're doing. And to get there, we have to reflect on what we've done. So the idea is we want to solve the problem right now. So let's say we fix that bug. Woohoo, pat yourself on the back. Awesome job. But we don't want to leave it there, right? We want to take a moment, maybe not right now, because maybe we have a deadline, right? We have to get this done. The client needs this right now. So we solve the problem and we move on, but we put a pin in it and we make sure we follow up later, hopefully in that day, later that week, but you put a date on it. Put a date when you're going to circle back. Hopefully it's in the next few hours. Could be the next few weeks, but then it starts to have diminishing returns. What we want to do is in that moment when we fixed it once is we want to plan out and map out how we would fix it even better. Like we want the temporary fix and the forever fix. This is like if you have a plumbing pipe burst in your house and water is gushing in. Oh my God, just get the duct tape around it. We got to stop the bleeding here. We got to triage this, right? Oh my goodness, this water is going to fill our house and ruin everything. So you duct tape it. You get it to stop. Maybe you tape some t-shirts or some other stuff around it. Like you get it to stop, or at least to be a trickle. But it hasn't actually fixed the problem, right? And too often when we're coding, our knee-jerk reaction is we just fix it and we move on. But this is what separates the professionals earning over six figures from the people that just, keep chugging along, right? But never quite hit that six-figure level. Is that the professionals, the true professionals earning six figures and more, they're taking the time to, really retrospective what happened there and how they can do it better next time. What would be my forever fix for this? Oh, well, maybe if instead of just adding this variable here or copying this loop here, maybe I can, encapsulate this information or this code into another function, into another class, into another object, right? So thinking through what the better solution would be, taking that time. It only takes a few minutes, but it can have profound effects. Because think of that. If you do that, maybe it's just making you 2% better each time, and 2% and 2% and 2% and 2%, right? If you keep increasing by 2%, right, in a year, you're going to be hundreds of percents better, right? 100% better. So much goes into this. This is the difference that I see with problems that get solved well and people who advance their careers and those who don't, right? Is taking that time to just plan to solve it twice and then make your estimates around that you're going to solve it once immediately just to stop the bleeding, right? To just get to a solution, but then also plan to do the right solution or the best solution that you are capable of in this moment with what you have learned and the tools that are at your disposal, right? And this is how you can systematically improve your capabilities and hit those higher echelon levels that you're looking for in tech. All right. If you're here today, please drop a question in the chat. I have one more thing to say about this, but this is a pretty short one. It's pretty simple. This idea of doing it twice. And we got it from the book, The Mythical Man Month, which is an amazing classic by Fred Brooks. I used to have an original. I might have gotten rid of it from the 70s, but it looked a little bit different. But it is just, it's really cool that, plan to throw one away. There it is. Plan to throw one away. This book came out in the 70s and it still has relevance today, right? Because there's certain challenges with software that don't change, right? AI didn't change it either, right? AI just allowed us to iterate faster, but it didn't actually change the issue that we're probably going to throw them away. Now we get to throw more away, right? Because AI can help us generate it faster. But at the end of the day, the same amount of work goes into building great software. Oh my goodness. So super, super awesome. I think what my recommendation for moving forward, if you're someone who wants to really become a master coder or build great, incredible software, right? It doesn't matter. The rules are the same in technology, is that if you want to continue getting better, if you want to 2x your tech career, you need to plan for doing it better, right? Plan to solve it now so that you can get ahead, but also schedule that time to do it better. So whenever you fix a problem, don't just immediately jump to the next problem. Pause, look at how you could have done this better. That reflection is what is going to be the difference maker for you moving forward. All right, folks, super awesome. If anyone is here, if you can give me a shout out, let me know. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. But that 2x, planning to do it 2x, is super, super critically important for increasing your tech career. And I think for me personally, I typically find that in my life, the 2x rule really, really helps, right? Like solving a problem in the moment, like right now, but while also planning for the future and solving it better. And this is how you can allow the bugs and challenges that come your way to customize your learning experience and really help define you as a coder and a technologist. Because at the end of the day, most courses give you information that you don't need right now. They're inefficient. It's not helping you solve the problems that you want to solve. So we in the Tech Joy Career Academy, we give some foundational elements, and it moves relatively quickly. It's basically 2 college courses, trimmed out, and focused, and tucked together in a tighter time frame, so you can get through it in a couple months. But at the end of the day, most courses give you way more than you need, and they're inefficient because technology changes so rapidly. They might be giving you information you're never going to need. And so you really want to have a way to learn on your own, to learn for yourself. And the way you can do that is when you face a challenge, taking that moment once you've solved it, right? Because you first just figure out how to solve it. Once you've solved it, looking at, okay, how could I have solved that better? If I had infinite time or infinite money, how would I solve that? Okay, and then you think through that. And then that's your pathway and your guidance to learning more, right? To learning more. Super awesome. Oh, good. I'm seeing some questions here. Mindy says she's usually getting overly connected and emotional about your first minimum viable product. Absolutely, Mindy. And I think allowing ourselves to be detached from the first version, right? I do find in my life that, like, when I do things repeatedly, it only takes 2 or 3 times, and then it's really good. But you need that feedback loop. And so sometimes, and I know this happens to me, I'll create something and I'll get so attached to it, like, man, I put my heart and soul into it. It's really good. And then if it doesn't quite work the way you expect, you get really deflated. And it's easy to think like, oh, maybe I'm just not good enough. Maybe I'm not supposed to do this, right? Like all that negativity and those negative vibes run through our minds. Or we can assume that we're going to have to learn and grow. We can assume that we can get better at this, and our first version might not be awesome, and that's okay, right? But it doesn't mean that we can't do it. It doesn't mean that we should stop doing it, right? That we shouldn't be doing it. It just means that, okay, this is our first version, and now I'm getting feedback, because at the end of the day, mistakes are how humans learn, right? This whole notion of like school and books to learn is relatively modern, right? Typically, historically, learning has happened where you learn under an apprentice, which is why in the Tech Joy Career Academy, we have so many senior software engineers for our students to work with, right? Directly, because that's the fastest path to learning, is just to have somebody show you how they would do it, right? Like, boom, you don't have to go read, a whole book on it. You don't have to take 4 years of a college degree. You can just learn from someone who's like literally doing it. Like, okay, here, this is how you do it. This is how I think about it. Find who whatever problem you're trying to solve, find who it's easy for and ask them how they would solve it. Done, right? Yes, like raising your first child, Mindy, absolutely, right? And so we don't want to get overly attached and connected to our first MVP, to our first version, because all experts start in the beginning, right? You're bad at it until you're awesome, basically, right? But nobody gets awesome until they do it enough times. They stub their toe, they skin their knee, and they get it, right? This happens to all of us as we learn things. It's just, and to be honest, all of us did this for any of those people who learn to walk, right? Most of us have that experience. We fell down, we skinned our knees, we face planted, but we don't remember. And so I think part of the challenge is the way learning has occurred in our school systems is that typically we learn from books, we learn from teachers, and we're not used to this natural progression of mistakes. But it's so critically important when you're innovating. You can't learn without mistakes. Like, mistakes are literally the vehicle for learning. Failure is the vehicle for learning. You cannot reach success without some failures along the way, because you need that feedback loop to get you where you're going. And so I know sometimes it's hard, because who wants to experience failure? But if we reframe that and position it as, I'm learning in this moment, like, oh, that didn't work, I'm glad I learned that. I'm glad I have that lesson. And as a business owner, there's definitely lessons I've paid dearly for. But I think that's the key, Mindy, is not getting overly attached. Great question. Great questions. Daniel's asking, Brooks is recommended by many people in software development as a fundamental book. Yes, and as good reason. When I was a computer science professor, I would teach a graduate seminar in software engineering, and this was our book. It's awesome. It's really, really good. Some of them, like a couple of the chapters don't wear well, and it'll be obvious when you see those, but like no silver bullet, self-documenting programs, like, self-debugging, like just, yeah, there's planning to throw one away, the second system effect. Adding the Mythical Man Month specifically refers to the practice of adding more software developers to a project. Actually makes it slower because it increases the complexity of communication. It's incredible. So it's a really great book, and it's not that big. It's not, right. It's just a few easy to read, digest chapters. You could probably read it a chapter a night for a couple of weeks, but it's really cool. And it really helps give you that perspective on large software projects. Great comment. Ooh, Mindy, how does one learn to step back? Okay, I can give you a tidbit on that. How do we learn to step back and not be so attached to the first draft, to the first outcome, right? This is actually about kind of maintaining your center of, no matter what happens, being able to withstand it, right? So this is actually more of an emotional level than necessarily specific to coding. But the way I do it, the way I liken it is, I call it being above the roller coaster. So think about it. When you are on the roller coaster, you are in it, man. You're feeling it. You are getting beat around. Oh my goodness, right? Like, oh, you're going over a bump. Oh, you're going over a hill. You're in it. And if you're on the roller coaster, if you are attached to that first version of whatever you're creating, that MVP, ooh, it's hard. Like, you're going to react emotionally. When you're not going to respond, you're going to react and be like, what's going on here? It doesn't work. I put my heart and soul in this. Why? I spent weeks on this. Why? Right? You're feeling it. But if you can imagine a drone above the roller coaster. And so this is actually how I try to approach my own life. I'm the drone above the roller coaster. Oh, look, I did all that work and, it didn't work out. That's interesting. But, maybe if I do X, Y, Z and I do this other thing over here, it'll work better. Okay, let me go try that. But when you're in the roller coaster, you can't see that. You can't see, like, oh, maybe if I go stand on top of this hill, I'll be able to see the next place, right? You can't be calm, cool, and collected. And so for me, I try to separate that as being on the roller coaster versus above the roller coaster. And I kind of sometimes I'll just even envision myself being above the roller coaster, and it helps me get calm and centered. But the other thing you can do, Mindy, is find those habits of mind and body that help you maintain that calm center. So for example, I don't get to do all these things every day, but I have a huge list of things that help me get centered. So taking a shower, doing yoga, going for a walk, physically getting in my body is super, super helpful. Sometimes, like, having a cup of tea, stepping away, I might listen to a nice, few minute meditation, or I might journal a little bit. I might write out and reaffirm who I am and what I'm doing, right? Like what my focus is. And that helps me get above the roller coaster. So I'm not in it so much. Great questions. Melissa this is very well timed for me. I'm working on my own project right now and just started, and you're already emotionally attached. You've only spent 10 hours on it. I know, right? Attachment, man, it's real. I mean, it's one thing to be attached to our children, right? As long as we don't go over into codependence, but that's another topic for another day. But like how how do we work on it? Because you need to be excited about it to work on it, right? I find for me, like when I'm motivated by something, I'm really excited by it, I go all in and I move much farther. But the flip side is if I get too attached to it, then if it doesn't work the way I expect right away, I get frustrated and I get demotivated, right? Like, so I think part of it is tying our success and our like good feelings of accomplishment to the outcome versus any individual artifact on the path. Like, okay, I'm going to create this MVP. And I know it might take me a couple tries to get there. Just like knowing it might take you a couple tries so you just don't feel that sense of, attachment. In business, we do things where we might do like hook or offer engineering, where we like come up with different products and we might come up with 5 or 10 ideas and we just have a quick way to test them to see what the market likes. Okay. And then we build that, right? There's different ways that you can do that, but allowing yourself to have that level of detachment, and not like it's challenging because you want to be excited for it and be motivated to move it forward. But that subtlety of, okay, not getting overly attached. So if it crashes and burns, you're crushed, right? Because for some people, knowing that it could crash and burn would be enough to prevent them from taking the action at all, right? So this is where we have to kind of get in our own, it's a head game. We have to get in our own heads a little bit and figure out, okay, what will motivate me to take this action, but that I can still allow it to fail, right? Like I can still allow this to not work, even if I take this action. And actually, at the end of the day, what it really comes down to is actually confidence and faith in yourself, right? Knowing that, yes, I can do this. Like in Melissa's case, yes, I can create this software. I can create this project. It may not work the first time, but I will create it. And in fact, you can even kind of, put some deadlines in there for yourself and be like, yeah, I'm creating this. Right. But you just kind of like, you start from a place of knowing versus like, oh, I need to see this. I need to see this. I need to see this. Cause that's going to lead you down attachment. Right. And that's going to be a little bit more challenging there. But if you start with a state of knowing, like, yes, I am creating this, like it just is. You don't know how long it'll take. If you don't know how many versions it'll take, but you just know you're creating it, that will help you move forward. Great questions. Great questions. And yes, mistakes and failures. Absolutely. So good. So many lessons there. Is there a training available that solely focuses on troubleshooting software? Yes. Well, yes. So specifically what I teach in the Tech Joy Career Academy, Anna, is how to debug and problem solve anything. Like literally this is my secret sauce. But I think today what I'm getting at is always plan to solve it twice, right? Just plan to solve it twice. Because I'm realizing in my life, I'm seeing the threads. And I had someone else come to me recently, a student had a challenge with this too, is where I've been the most successful is where I've solved it twice, where I solve it immediately in the moment while also solving it for myself in the future. So I'm making my current life easy and I'm making my future life easier, which is really, really helpful. But definitely feel free to DM me, Anna, and we can talk more about, but really the troubleshooting, it's the process. And so actually in the orientation module for any Tech Joy Academy students that are here, there's the 4 pillars of problem solving. That is my secret sauce for problem solving anything. Great question, Anna. And yes, Daniel, yes, perfectionism can absolutely hinder learning mistakes. I am definitely a recovered perfectionist. It's definitely a challenge. It's definitely a challenge. Awesome. Yes, I love it. So good. So good. Daniel's asking, how do you develop a concept for a product that the marketplace wants when deciding on a future project? Yes. So this is, so Daniel's question, it goes a little bit beyond just coding. This is now more into the space of business, right? So there's a couple of things that are at play here because the market isn't everything either. It's a big part of it. But at the end of the day, you also have your unique gifts getting out there. And so you want to think about things you'd like to create that you think would help people, that would be of value. And then how can you position it in a way that people would value it and potentially purchase it? And actually what I've been practicing lately, I guess, again, this is me taking off my coder hat and putting on my business owner hat, is you can test the market and you can test it really inexpensively. Like for instance, you can create a Facebook page and you can run Facebook ads for pennies, literally pennies. I'm not kidding you, pennies, and just see how many people click on the ad and like your page. And so in that ad, you just put a hook, put like learn to code, become a six-figure software developer, right? Like whatever tagline you wanted to test, you put it in there. Okay, and then you get some feedback. Maybe you could test 20 of them if you wanted. Like you can test a ton of them because it's only like $1 a test. That's very, very inexpensive. And then what you can do is like, okay, you would build a landing page somewhere where people can give you their email or maybe their phone number so that you can message them. And you might try to like see if they'll sign up for a free course using that tagline, or sign up to be notified when a piece of software is available, right? And you get them to sign up. And so you can build it slowly. Like you don't have to go all the way and create everything. And so actually the same methods that we teach in programming and software development are used in business too. In fact, that's where they came from. The lean startup method came out of agile software development. It's really cool. And to be honest, building a business, the more I learn about building a business, the more I see it's like almost the same as building software. It's really not that different. It's just in software, you're working with data, like digital information. And in business, you're dealing with people typically. Like there's just and now with software being used in businesses so much, there's really not a huge difference there, but really, really cool. Really, really cool. So there are, I guess what I would say is there are ways to test what the marketplace wants. Another way is you could, write a quick ebook and sell it on Amazon, right? That takes a little more work. I would test the titles first. Using something quick like Facebook ads, or you can also do this organically on Facebook. You can make posts and share your idea and see how many people like raise their hand and have conversations with them. There's always a pathway. But that's why, in with TechJoy software, we actually pair software development, but the first step of that is business coaching. And so we do business strategy together to like figure out these pieces before taking the time to build out software, because I can't tell you how many times I've built a piece of software to not be used by the client. It happens a lot. And so, who wants to go through that? We want to build software that people will actually use. And so part of that is there's some business process that goes on the front end of that. Super, super great question. Yes, exactly. Yes. So I have some extra pieces in there as well. So good, folks. So good. Oh my goodness. These were such amazing questions. But so just to recap, folks, plan to throw one away is the lesson that we took apart from the Mythical Man Month. And if you guys like these, I can do more of these. These would be fun. So I can go through more of those, but plan to throw one away. And what that means is when you're solving a problem for yourself, plan to solve it twice. Like just plan for it, estimate it. You're going to solve it right now today so that you get some breathing room. But you're also going to solve it for your future. Or just take one step, maybe not solving completely, because that can be perfectionism can come in there, but that you're solving it, at least you're making it better. You're taking one step to make your future life easier, right? Your future life easier, right? It's like the difference from, let's say in your house, you have to wash your dishes by hand. That takes a while. I don't know if this is a good example. But I'm thinking of like something that could be automated, but that you're not. You're just doing it by hand each time. You do it by hand every day. So maybe that's you're doing your dishes by hand, or you're washing your clothes by hand, right? Oof, who would want to wash their clothes by hand? But you're doing that every day. Oh, it takes all day long. But if you could save up to buy a washer, you could do that a lot faster, and then you could do other things, right? And so this is how you can kind of snowball your time. And so, okay, maybe every time I do my dishes my dishes or laundry by hand, I set aside a quarter or a nickel to buy myself that automated solution. Or maybe for programmers, we build our automated solutions. Maybe I'm just making it a little bit easier. I'm taking one step, I'm automating one piece of it. So when I have to do this again in the future, it's going to be easier. Or maybe I'm rethinking my process of problem solving so that I can solve problems faster, right? Solving problems faster is what causes our salary to increase as technologists, right? Super, super awesome. Yes. Be great at the book. Awesome. Yes, we can absolutely share the book for sure. Daniel, I learned in my coding boot camp that solving a real problem can help with getting my foot in the job. Yes, absolutely, Daniel. So real world problems will help you get a job. Absolutely. So just stay the course as a student in the TechJoy Career Academy, get on the internship, and you're gonna be rocking and rolling. So real world problems typically show up in real client projects, right? Where you're building things for actual people who have a business need. And that's what we, support our students in doing in the TechJoy Career Academy. Super awesome, folks. Super, super awesome. Oh my goodness, very, very good. If any, I think most of the commenters I'm seeing are in the Tech Joy Career Academy, which is awesome. So good to see everybody. If for any reason you're not currently in the Tech Joy Career Academy and you'd like to be, we have a super special trial just for this week. And so if any of you folks know friends who've been thinking about the Tech Joy Career Academy and they're just, they've been on the fence, now is the best week ever to join. We have a crazy trial, and I'm going to be welcoming all of our new students this Thursday. So I hope you guys will join us. I just posted it in the chat. So for anybody who's interested in that, if you have anybody, if you know anybody that's been thinking about it, this is the week. This is the week to get started. Super awesome, folks. Oh my goodness, so many great comments. Thank you so much. I love that. If you have any other questions, even if you're watching the replay of this, please don't hesitate to drop them. We do check our comments. Yeah, and we'd love to help support you getting rocking and rolling. If you're looking for a tech career in, right now, in the next year, let us know. We can help you with that. All right, we can help make it easier. Awesome sauce, folks. Super awesome to see everybody. And I cannot wait. So here, I'll make sure that link is showing up for you folks. All right, techjoysoftware.com/trial. Yeah, and we can't wait to help you get started. All right, have a great rest of your day, folks. Take care.